What up, folks? It's time for the morning show of yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and it's time to get back to business. Well, this is a interesting Monday. For the most part, it's kind of quiet. We got a little bit of fireworks, but not really anything to write home about. You have the U.S. dollar index up 20 pips at 106.03. So really, breaking above that 106 and trying to hold that level. We have the euro up 6 pips at 106.74. We have the pound sterling up 22 pips at 124.71. And the Aussie's up 14 at 64.83. Aussie not able to maintain that 65 handle, and it's broken down to the 64 handle. Not so sure if we will get a reversal here, but this is an interesting thing to see because really the Aussie has been oscillating, within that 65 to 66 range. So you got about a little bit of 100 pips or so of a trading range going on there. The Bitcoin future is down 2,120 at 65,050 right now. It did drop all the way down to 63,700 before bouncing back, and then we hit a high of 67,255. So quite the volatility today in the Bitcoin futures, which we anticipated. We talked about that in yesterday's video as far as the widening out of the trading range in the Bitcoin futures, along with the fact that we could expect some type of a pullback in the futures since the cash market had already pulled back and recovered over the weekend. So this was an anticipated move. The Ethereum futures down 34.5 at 3,180. We have crude oil futures down a buck 19, trading at $84.40 a barrel because of uncertainty with what's going on overseas. We have the nat gas down a nickel at a buck 72, and we have gold futures down $6.70 an ounce, trading at 2,367. Now we did hit $2,389.40 an ounce in the overnight market, and we got as low as $2,340.20 since we've recovered, 27 bucks, which is quite the volatility move here in gold. And silver, it's up 38 cents at $28.71 an ounce. Now, even though it shows up on the day, it's down from that $29 level that was hit. The market tried to get close. It hit $28.88 an ounce in the overnight market and fell to a low of $27.68 per ounce in the overnight market. So quite the $1 recovery from the overnight low. So massive volatility picking up in both gold and silver on an intraday basis. Copper up 12 cents. And it's at $4.38 right now. Dow futures also seeing some wild volatility. We're up 148 points right now at 38,384. It had traded as high as 38,638 in the overnight market and dropped to a low of 38,150. So quite the volatility there with that 500-point trading range. E-mini S&P 500 up 16 at 51.83 half. It had gotten up to 52.13 half and hit a low of 51.62 and 3/4. So that is a 20 plus point rally off of the overnight low. Then you have the E-mini NASDAQ 100 up 36, make that 37 points now at 18,216. Hit an overnight low of 18,147 half, and the overnight high was 18,351. So again, volatility starting to pick up a little bit. And then last but not least, the Russell My Hustle down 6.2 points at 2013 half. It did rally to 2035.7 and actually dipped to 2001.1. So yeah, got some volatility picking up in the markets. So, very interesting to see where things are going to be headed. As far as news, market news, we have M&A, and according to JP Morgan, no pickup in that anytime soon. Tesla is laying off more than 10% of its workforce. And why Iran's attack on Israel could be bad news for Russia. But all eyes on EBITDA, which is earnings seasons is upon us, and it's a big one. Last week, hot inflation report delayed hopes for a long-awaited rate cut, leaving some wondering if a recession is back in the cards. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon issued a warning in the bank's earnings report on Friday, stating there seems to be a large number of persistent inflationary pressures which may likely continue, and finally, we have never truly experienced the full effect of quantitative tightening on this scale, according to Jamie Dimon. The markets do have an antidote: strong earnings. When interest rate cuts were delayed earlier this year, concerns were quickly washed away thanks to companies largely reporting impressive numbers. But as the old saying goes, past performance is not indicative of future results. With so much at stake, here's an earnings season cheat sheet of when some of the biggest companies are reporting and the storylines to follow. In finance, we got key companies Goldman Sachs on April the 15th, which is today, and Bank of America tomorrow, and Blackstone on April 18th. The themes to watch would be AI could reduce the number of junior bank employees thanks to the tech automating their grunt work. With interest rates remaining high, the threat of private credit or non traditional lenders remains a risk or opportunity depending on where you sit on the street. Of course, the big banks don't like, non-traditional lenders. They see it as a threat to what they're trying to do, and some have even come out and said that it's a threat to our democracy. In tech, we have key companies Meta, which is April the 24th, Microsoft on April the 25th, and Alphabet also on April the 25th. Apple May 2nd, and Nvidia May 22nd, followed by Amazon to be announced. The themes to watch here will demand for Nvidia's chips finally subside. Can Apple turn things around? Where do Microsoft and Alphabet stand in the AI race? Will Meta and Amazon continue their efficiency pushes to cut costs? There are plenty of questions about tech's biggest players. Their prominent role in the market means people will be watching for answers. In retail, key companies to watch is Walmart on May the 16th, Target May the 22nd, and Costco on May 30th. The themes to watch here is the resilient American consumer, which kept the economy afloat despite inflation and higher rates. Reports from big box retailers offer perspectives on if they're losing steam. In media, we have key companies Netflix, April the 18th, Disney, May the 7th, and Paramount Global, April the 29th. The themes to watch here: Netflix was dubbed the king of streaming earlier this year after a big earnings report. All right. YouTube, of course, didn't like that. So they're trying to compete in that space. Disney is licking its wounds after a brutal proxy fight with one giant unanswered question remaining: who will be CEO? Bob Iger's successor. Paramount's future remains up in the air as a deal talks ramp up. And the others to be concerned about: key companies Tesla, April the 23rd, and Boeing, April the 24th. The things to watch here is Tesla still looking for a win in 2024 as trends in the EV market shift against it and pressure mounts on Boeing, leaving the airline industry scrambling. Now, your other headlines today: U.S. forces shot down over 75 Iranian missiles and drones in its biggest air defense battle of the Middle East crisis. Trump's hush money trial won't be G rated. Stormy Daniels will have no choice but to testify about affair, experts say. Global iPhone shipments fell 9.6% in the first quarter, another sign of Apple's woes this year. And Grimes apologizes to fans after a rocky Coachella set that left her screaming, "I will not let such a thing happen again." Globe Life stock crashed amid federal probes. Good grief. A lot of going on here. The M&A market is under siege. JP Morgan CFO Jeremy Barnum points to headwinds from the regulatory environment as a reason M&A momentum might not pick up. The bank's earnings report beat analyst expectations, but advisory revenues were down 21% year over year. Stay ahead amid a market shift. Market strategists outline how to invest as market sentiment gets negative. Investing in defensive sectors like consumer staples and healthcare were some of the strategies experts recommended. I beg to differ. Not all that glitters is gold. The precious metal has surged to hit a new all time high in 2024, but it's not the only commodity performing well this year. Oil, cocoa, and copper have also racked up big gains as the market enters what Carlisle's Jeff Curry is calling a classic late cycle rally. Tesla is laying off more than 10% of its workforce. The EV maker is the latest majority company to make job cuts, according to an internal memo sent by CEO Elon Musk on Sunday. There is nothing I hate more, but if it must be done, this will enable us to be lean, innovative, and hungry for the next growth cycle, Musk said. Healthcare startup valuations are coming back to earth, except in AI. Healthcare deals are picking back up again, and they don't look like they'd be before the downturn, but some VCs are concerned many healthcare startups are AI washing to get extra funding. You don't say. Apple fans are eager for any sign of its AI intentions. The company's shares rose more than 4% last week after news it plans to revamp its Mac lineup with an AI focused chip. It's a sign investors are hoping AI might help save what's shaping up to be a rough year for the tech giant. The hidden cost of leaving a big city. Americans fled big coastal cities in droves during the pandemic, and that number has only stayed steady in the years since. But while people chase affordability in smaller towns, moving away from a major city might be terrible for your career. The fallout from the office apocalypse is just getting started, with federal funds drying up and remote work affecting revenue. Cities and states across the United States are facing a nasty budget crunch. Iran's attack on Israel could be bad news for Russia. Michelle Grice, a senior policy researcher at the American think tank RAND, said on Thursday that a crisis in the Middle East could hamper Russian arms supplies and boost China's own influence in the region. And in other news, the lipstick review could have been written by AI. Six people who made up to $500,000 a year secretly working multiple remote jobs share why they don't feel guilty and why there's nothing wrong with overemployment. Mark Zuckerberg came up with the idea for the Facebook poke feature while he was drunk. Ad tech company Criteo is laying off up to 4% of its staff as it prepares for the cookie apocalypse. We're a Gen Z couple making $250K combined, but it doesn't feel like we're top 10% earners. And Tesla tells Cybertruck employees that shifts will be shorter at the Austin Gigafactory. And here's what's happening today. Goldman Sachs and other companies are reporting, and today's the Boston Marathon. And of course, it's tax day. Good luck with that. Anyway, or how to say, anywho, did you know that Johnson and Johnson's toxic children's cough syrup has been recalled in Kenya? The PPB issues a decision after an alert regarding Nigeria's National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control recall of the medication used for hay fever and other allergic conditions in children aged 2 to 12. The Kenyan Pharmacy and Poison Board announces a recall for a batch of Johnson & Johnson children's cough syrup. Uh, it's called Benlin Pediatric due to its unacceptable level of potentially fatal toxic substance. What's that substance? In its statement, the PBB issued its decision following an alert regarding Nigeria's National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control recall of the medication that is used for hay fever and other allergic conditions in children aged 2 to 12. Johnson & Johnson manufactured the batch in South Africa in May of 2021 with an expiration date of April of 2024. Concerns have been raised about it potentially containing fatal levels of the contaminant diethylene glycol. Wow. How did that get in there? I wonder. The PPB advises all pharmaceutical outlets, healthcare facilities, healthcare workers, and members of the public to immediately quarantine the product and stop distribution sale, issuing, or use of the product, the PPB board stated. Huh. Now, in a notice on its website, the NAFDAC said laboratory analysts conducted on the product showed that it contains an unacceptable high level of the diethylene glycol and was found to cause acute oral toxicity in laboratory animals. Now, this substance is reported to cause abdominal pain and inability to pass urine and acute kidney damage, which may be fatal. The substance was linked to the deaths of several children in Gambia, Uzbekistan, and Cameroon since 2022 after they consumed Indian-made cough syrups. This isn't Johnson & Johnson's first recall or grave blunder. Thousands of lawsuits have been filed against J&J last year because of its baby talcum powder that may have contained traces of asbestos and was linked to ovarian cancer. The company put forth an $8.9 billion offer to settle. Again, how did asbestos get in the talcum powder? Does anyone know? Does anyone know? Well, these things come, these things go. And it's not the first time we heard pharmaceutical companies, getting in trouble in Africa. Very interesting. All right, folks, that's all we got for today. Hopefully you're having a pleasant Monday. And need I remind you that today's close is going to be very important because it will determine if we're going to have a reversal Tuesday or not. All right. And that will be very, very important because turnaround Tuesdays are not guaranteed. All right. I repeat, not guaranteed. We can always do something else, go a different direction, accelerate in the opposite direction, et cetera, et cetera. So today's close will be monitored very closely. We're going to see what's what, and I'll let you know if anything changes tonight. All right. That's going to, like I said, it's going to be very important as we move forward because we are now in even more uncertain economic times, with them trying to bring Iran into the war talks, which is really jacked up if you ask me. I don't like it not one bit, not one bit. I believe that this is something that could have been avoided or at least dealt with in a different way, but more on that later. We'll have to have a separate broadcast for the whole Iranian situation and what's going on, because that is a really, really, really big deal. Okay. All right, so you know what it is. The system works if you work the system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And on that note, I'll see you guys this evening for the evening watch list after the close. And on that note, I'm out. Peace.